Ladies and gentlemen, this is Bob Costas, and I'm proud to present the 17th home video edition of the authorized history of the Beetlejuice Rock and Soul Review. It was 1944 in Stromboli, Italy. A young couple, Salvatore and Rosa Servideo, hear their first Howlin' Wolf song over Radio Free Europe. That fateful night, under the red moonlight in the town square, they decided to migrate to America to sing the blues. Arriving in One Corner, Mississippi, penniless, with only the clothes on their backs and the guitar and accordion they bought with a bag of beans and a sack of pastina, they struggled to make a living by farming during the day and playing the blues at night. In 1950, their first child, a masculine child, was born. Premature, small, and sickly, they named him John, after their newfound friend, John Lee Hooker. In 1955, Salvatore, in his despair, took to drinking, and what Rosa would later call rollin' and rockin'. Salvatore hit the road that year, leaving Rosa and John alone. For the next 2 years, Rosa scrubbed floors, while John spent his days arranging his mother's pots and pans on the kitchen floor, banging away mindlessly until Rosa came home. In 1959, with Rosa now also in despair and seeing no future, she gave John her last $10, kissed him gently, and ran away with Boots Randolph. John took his 2 best pots and left for Chicago. Weeks later, walking the streets of the Windy City, penniless and now potless, he was befriended by Lightnin' Slim, who was playing at Sam's Alligator Pit on Dexeter Avenue. For the next 3 years, John, nicknamed Stromboli by that great blues artist Lonesome Sundown, ran errands and listened to the music.
Let me hear you say yeah!
Soon, Johnny was playing drums for the James Brown Revue at night and sleeping during the day, eating mashed potatoes with that special southern fried blues that was shaping him for his call to musical destiny.
Are you ready for the night train?
John went down to Melancholia, a club down by the rail yards where he heard about a singer going by the name of Lisa Ma Smith.
Stop! Don't do it!
He got there as she was finishing up her 3rd set, singing into a bottle of Jack Daniels. She had a voice like Bessie and a body like Lena. They realized that the only things that mattered to both of them was the blues, waking up in your clothes, bourbon, and BMWs. Picking up different gigs throughout the South and West, they traveled together for the next 6 months. One night in '60, after backing up Gatemouth Brown at the Atchafalaya River Club in Crowley, Louisiana, Stromboli and Ma heard of a skinny kid out of Memphis that was making some noise on the local scene at a new label called Sun Records. The next day, they packed their belongings and left for Memphis, where they would meet and play with Elvis on Hound Dog, along with a skinny blue-eyed kid playing lead guitar by the name of Brian Smooth Gallagher. Smooth, coming out of Colorado, was recently fired as the billboard model for a place called the Levi Strauss Company. He decided that the new scene called rockabilly, coming out of the cities in the South, was where he was going to find his fame and fortune. Smooth told them about his brother, Darren Dangerous Gallagher. Over the previous 2 years, Dangerous had been picked up for 3 armed robberies, 6 assaults, and had just finished a stint in the Biloxi House of Detention for kidnapping a disgruntled postal worker. The next day, filled with songs and dreams, Stromboli, Ma, and Smooth went down to some flop house called Harry's Hostel and found Dangerous. Together, they headed east for what would later be known in music history as the Mississippi meets the Mersey period.
1, 2, 3, 4!
Arriving in London in the summer of '62, Stromboli, Ma, Smooth, and Dangerous went to a club called The Cave, where they were invited up on stage to back up some kids who called themselves the Beetlejuices. Stromboli, liking the name of the band more than their sound, nonetheless found himself on stage filling in for the recently fired Pete Best. Later that night, Lennon came off the stage and asked Stromboli to join the group. "Not with a name like the Beetlejuices," Stromboli said. "Besides, I have bigger catfish to fry back in the States." A few minutes later, with Stromboli convincing Lennon to change the name to just the Beatles, Stromboli settled at the bar, where he got to know the guy who'd become the next member, Tommy the Killer Gallagher. Tommy migrated from Union City, New Jersey 2 months earlier, looking to join up with Freddie and the Dreamers, and was ready to play some real music. With Killer, they stayed abroad for 5 years, making their first fortune and spending it just as quickly. In late '66, Stromboli had visions of the Revue conquering America the way they did Europe. One night, reminiscing about the good old days in Mississippi, Ma told Stromboli about her twin sister Shakalika, who had just had a big hit with some loser named Sonny in California. She changed her name to Sandy Like a Stone Scragg and was looking for a new group to play with. On Ma's urging, Stromboli called and told Like a Stone to look no further. The group, now formally called the Beetlejuice Rock and Soul Revue, was coming back to the States. So the summer of '67 brought the Beetlejuice Rock and Soul Revue straight to the Haight-Ashbury area, where they jammed with the likes of Hendrix, Big Brother, and Moby Grape. As you all know, this time in the Bay Area has been called one of the major turning points in the history of music. The Beetlejuice Rock and Soul Revue was about to meet the man who would change them into the most popular and successful band the world has ever known. The man who just last year was given the Life Achievement Award from both the Coca-Cola Bottlers of Pennsylvania and the Entenmann Cake Foundation. The man who's part owner with Joey Ramone in the House of Melancholia, which just opened its 14th club in southwest Staten Island. The man who has a line of casual wear that this year won the prestigious award from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for what was described as the best line of clothes for those on the way back from oblivion. And last but not least, the man who is sole owner of Pasta and Fagioli Records, the most successful record company specializing in South American calypso blues for the last 10 years. You all know who. Carlo Jerry the G Magnum Generelli. It's what legends are made of. Jerry the G Magnum and Stromboli standing in front of Chubby's Fried Fish Pit down by the pier, drinking their last bottle of P&M whiskey, watching the moon go down over the Golden Gate, and planning out their campaign to conquer the music industry. From there, the Beetlejuice Rock and Soul Revue headlined at Woodstock in '69, where they picked up Gary the Doctor Woodruff, who was a roadie for Country Joe and the Fish. Although the Doctor remembers nothing about the 5 days he spent at Woodstock, he was convinced by Stromboli that there really was a place called Woodstock and that he really was there. To this day, he has flashbacks whenever he comes near a lake or a bowl of granola. The final member of the band came along in '78 at the height of disco. John, only 87 keys, was found backing up Travolta on the little-known These Pointy Shoes Are Made to Point Up to the Sky With tour that closed one cold night in Schenectady after only 16 people showed up to hear him sing Jungle Boogie without a mic. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the story behind and about the Beetlejuice Rock and Soul Revue. It's not a story about just a band. It's a story about where and why music is what it is today. After playing in front of over 150 million people over the last 40 years in over 60 countries, after the ups and the downs, the hits and the cancellations, it is now time to put that drink under your arm and your shoes under the chair and roll with the band who has just broken all records on their recently completed All the Way Down Route 80 tour. Here's Stromboli, Jerry the G Magnum, Ma, Smooth, Dangerous, Like a Stone, Killer, the Doctor, and only 87 keys, now and forever.